Alright, so part 2, labels. Labels have become a huge part of our lives. Like, huge. So much so to the point that there's a label for everything. Every feeling you have, every action you take. Someone can label it, which is fine. I appreciate labels. I like understanding things, but what I feel like we should understand about labels is people all have their perceptions on what that label is. So if I have the audacity to label you something, obviously you're going to have your own perception of what that means. And even if that's not what I meant, it may offend you. And I'm going to explain examples of this. I'll tell you the labels that I've been given in life. And I will tell you the labels that I accepted in my life. And then I was able to let those go. And what I label myself as now. Okay? So I've been given negative labels. Negative, and I say negative because they make me feel negative. Alcoholic, drug addict, mentally ill, schizophrenic, bipolar, borderline, I got that one, dyke, fag, half-breed, nigger. I'm sorry, guys. It's a strong word, and I'm sorry to say it, because I know it brings feelings. I'm sorry to say it, but I've been called that. That was a label that somebody thought they had the right to give me. Those ones, some of them I accepted, some of them I didn't. When I first got called a half-breed, I had no idea what that meant, so I was like 5 guys the first time I got called that. So I went and I asked people, like, what is a half-breed? And they had to explain to me. So I learned other terms. Mulatto, I got that one. So yeah, I had those. And then, I got my positive labels. People would call me smart, intelligent, kind, beautiful. I've been called handsome because I give off a masculine persona, which makes people feel like they have to call me handsome instead of beautiful. Guys, if you're complimenting me, I don't care how you do it. Thank you. So, yeah, I got those labels. I've given people labels because part of my path was understanding psychology and mental diagnoses. That was fun for me, guys. So when I started to learn these things, I started to label people. There's one that I used a lot with a certain person. And while I'm speaking about my experiences, I want you guys to try to understand the difference between gossiping and talking about your experiences with people. If you're close to me and you're watching these videos and I'm telling a story that you're involved in and you know it's about you, cool. I don't think that's an issue. I think when gossip becomes an issue or when it turns into gossip is when I say, this happened with so-and-so. When I say their name, which I have said a name in one of my past videos, which I did see, and, I can't take it back. It just kind of slipped. I don't think it was in a negative context, but still I didn't have permission to ask this person to say this about them. So for that I am sorry, because you guys, we all make mistakes. Just when you notice it, just apologize for it. So, you think my distraction's about to happen? No? Okay, so I would label somebody in my life a narcissist. Because from my understanding, it was just, if you're a professional, if, your path was psychology and I try to explain these things and it's not right, I give you more than permission to correct me. I would like to know what the official definition of these things are if you deem it necessary to give me the time to give me that understanding. It's totally up to you. But from what I gained when I said narcissist, it was all you think about is yourself. You can't look outside yourself. And when I said it, I didn't mean it in a bad way. It was just like all you're seeing is yourself. Okay? So I gave out that label. For me, when I gave it out, it didn't feel negative because I knew what I was trying to say. They didn't. And I didn't understand why it was making them so angry. But then, the exact same thing happened to me. And I'm going to explain to you guys something. So, when I make videos, I think the longest one I've made so far was about 33 minutes. But before I post them, I watch them. once. I watch them once. Make sure that I agree with what I'm saying, because sometimes words slip, guys. We don't always say what we mean. Make sure I agree with what I'm saying, and then I post it, okay? And then after I post it, I do watch them obsessively, guys. I do. And somebody saw me doing this, and they called me a narcissist. This person cares about me. I know that they didn't mean harm, so I had to really look at like why that made me feel like, ooh, ow. Why would you label me that? And I understood it's because, yeah, literally I was only looking at myself. I was only trying to understand myself. Did I see that as a bad thing? No, guys, it's not a bad thing. Being selfish can be bad. It has bad consequences. But thinking about yourself, understanding yourself, getting to know yourself is not a bad thing. You should know who you are. That is also something learned. It is what it is. So the reason I would watch my videos and continue to do so is because I want to know how I'm coming across. I want to check my asshole tendencies. I want to know that if somebody watches one of my videos and refers to one of my videos and says, you said this, I can definitely say, yeah, I did say that. And I know that because I watched it 16 times. So yeah, you're right, I said that. Or if they say something like, this is what you said, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I didn't say that. I've watched it enough and understood myself enough to be able to stand hard on my ground, guys. That's all that was. I have to make sure that I know what I'm saying. I have to make sure that I know how my actions are going to affect you. So yeah, looking at yourself is totally fine. It's okay. And if I ever labeled you a narcissist, I'm sorry if it made you feel that. It wasn't my intentions. If I labeled you anything in my life, any of you guys, I'm sorry. We're not a bag of chips. So when people ask me what I am now, like, what's your orientation? What's your race? What are these things? What are your labels? Honestly, guys, I'm tired of labeling myself. All I can tell you is I am who I am. What I feel is what I feel. Because the thing that bothered me about labels is when I accepted that label, it was hard to break out of that, guys. When I labeled myself atheist, it was hard to tell people that, to admit that that's not how I feel anymore. It's not saying that I was wrong. It's just that's not how I was feeling anymore. So when I was able to tell people, like, yeah, I don't think I'm an atheist, they usually would be like, I told you. And it's like, no, that's not what it was, guys. You gave me a piece of that puzzle. You helped me understand. But ultimately, like, that was something that I felt. I came to that understanding. Okay? So breaking out of the labels was hard because I was afraid to look indecisive, confused. And guys, I looked like that for a long time. The reason I feel I'm able to find common ground with everybody is because I've experienced these things, okay? Every label that we have been given, I took or discarded and then took. All of them, guys. And I know that sounds probably like pretty radical, but that was just the path of my life. I kept finding myself in these situations where people were telling me, this is what you're feeling. This is what it is. And I'd be like, okay, that works. I'll take that. And then somebody else would be like, this is what you're feeling. This is what this is. This is why they were wrong. That makes sense. Okay, I'll take that. So it was just all these weird labels. And then eventually I came to the point where I was like, I kind of agree with everything and I kind of disagree with everything. I'm not willing to be cemented in my beliefs. It's not bad to do that. If that's what you want to do, if you want to believe that you're right 100% of the time, all the time, cool. But guys, there's so much to experience. It's so cool. The fact that I've been accepted, like, ideologies and beliefs and stuff from stuff that now I'm like, okay, maybe I don't 100% agree with that because I learned something else. It was just coming to a point of understanding. It doesn't mean I'm indecisive. It just means I hadn't got there yet. If I did everything that I wanted when I wanted and never was able to look outside myself and like change, I would still be in my room thinking that I'm a lion and I don't know how to read. Guys, it's that simple. If we don't learn it, we're not going to know it. And the only way we're going to learn is if we're going to be open to learning. The alphabet, reading, like that was learned, guys. Everything in life is learned. So that's kind of my stance on labels. I understand why we use them. If you need to use a label to understand something, I just suggest that you keep them to yourself. So if you feel like you need to label somebody a narcissist to understand that, yeah, they think about themselves a lot, then cool, do that, but know that in your head, because they're going to perceive it different than how you mean it. The people who labeled me like schizophrenic and bipolar and borderline, like, that was interesting because they all had a different understanding of these. That's why there were so many spectrums on the labels for my state of mind, because everybody saw what I was seeing different. All right, the mania, the getting rid of things real fast, and the talking real fast, trying to get something out, like, it looked manic, and it made sense. They're like, this is what's happening, this is what we call it. Okay, cool, I'm manic. And then when I felt like I just can't do this anymore, I'm just gonna lay down. I'm just gonna sleep 15 hours a day. I told a professional, oh, that's depression. So if you've experienced mania and depression, cool, you're bipolar. Okay, cool, that makes sense. If it makes sense, I'm going to be like, okay, cool. But I'm never going to take something for like 100% what it is, guys. Which, if you're a part of my life and you came up with me, you do know that that was just something that kind of irked people. If you said something as fact and it didn't make sense to me right off the bat, I have the tendency to be like, why? Explain yourself, please. I don't understand. And I got the label of smartass, the debater, those things. And it wasn't because I was trying to prove you wrong. I was really trying to understand where you were coming from, because I wanted to understand, and I just didn't. I couldn't. So yeah, I would question you. I don't understand. Why? Can you explain? And that made people angry, because sometimes when they'd say like, well, this is why, and I'd be like, oh, well, I've had this experience, so I don't believe this. And then they'd be like, whoa, who are you? It's like, no, you guys, all right, that's what I want on labels, because I'm starting to come into understanding. So the third part will be coming to an understanding. So I'll do that one real quick, and then I'll be done today.